Hey, what's going on? This is another episode of the Reporter Vlog for August 16th on a Friday, 2024. Um, gonna get a double header and a single in today. Last one, going down as one of the craziest stories ever. Well, I guess you could say nothing wrong with a little comedy to end the day on. But then let's get started with the double header. First one. West Louisville Kroger gets a $1.25 million upgrade, starting wages to increase. Let's get right into it. West Louisville Kroger gets a $1.25 million upgrade, starting wages to increase. That's a incentive to keep the people up in there. Uh, okay. Can't forget about my credits. It's brought to you by WLKY, publisher slash reporter Mark Vanderhoff. Louisville, Kentucky, Kroger announced on Thursday a $1.25 billion renovation of its West Broadway store. The store will remain open during the remodel, which the company says will lead to more fresh food, bigger variety, and new signs and decor. Kroger will also invest $500,000 to raise starting wages at the store. Starting wages for baggers will be $14.70 to $25.85 an hour. But department leaders going to Kroger. Oh man, West Louisville, West Broadway locations are only of one of only two large groceries in West Louisville. The other also a Kroger is located at 35th and Bank Streets in the Portland neighborhood. Metro Councilman Jacori Arthur said in 2022 the city offered $3.5 million to attract a new grocery, but a deal with a new grocery co-op fell through. Uh, so the city needs to bring the incentive back. We need to have more meetings with private grocers. If private grocers do not want to take those funds, if they do not want incentives, then we should open a public grocery store, Arthur said. Well, basically, uh, let's put it like this. Mm, Basically, they couldn't attract a new grocery store, so so Louisville went into their secret bank and remodeled the one that they had. Like basically, this is an example of Louisville having money and Louisville using the money. So to keep outsiders from coming in and doing their thing, uh, you Kroger family, I guess say Louisville family. Uh, oh yeah, Kroger shoot, they're an entity that works by itself. I guess say Kroger family is pumping in the money, putting it in the right place, and making sure they keep their workers. My goodness, talking about a hike. Starting wages for baggers with from $14 to $25.85 an hour. That's $11 and change hike. Man, they gonna be bagging your groceries now. You want me double bag that turkey? Shoot, the canned goods go get bagged up now. Man, talking about a hike, boy. But it's basically just to keep the at Kroger where it is in the West End, keep it open. And it's talking about it's a do the deal. It's talking about the locking the Kroger up. In other words, like they do with some of these players in the NFL, as far as their contract negotiations. His Kroger is officially locked up. Like the players in the NFL, for, like I said before, when they work their contracts out. But man, that's I'm about a hike, but it's needed because ain't that much in that part of Louisville, and other than that one in the west, and the other one in the on the 35th and Bank. So, what better way to keep that one locked up than throw some money at it and keep the workers in there? Because, like I said, that is $11 hike from $14.70 to $25.85. Yeah, Bill. The Crow is also invested in start. Yeah, over that point. So you pretty much don't have to worry about Ed Kroger leaving people who live in the West End. So that's going to take care of that, Kroger's. Don't have to worry about the lack of food, or in that part of the West End, and in the days of complaining of lack of stores in that part of Louisville is pretty much over, especially if you live near this Kroger. But that's going to do it for this story. Let's move on because the second of the double header. To a serious story. 5 people, including 2 doctors, charged in investigation into Matthew Perry's death. Man. Okay. Well, credits go to WRB.com. Let's go to WRB.com. Like I said, publisher Andrew Dalton and Kathleen Humani. Associated Press. Published on August 15, 2024, updated 14 hours ago. Matthew Perry's assistant among 5 people, including 2 doctors, charged in Transstar's death. Prosecutor says 5 people have been charged in connection with Matthew Perry's death, including the actor's assistant and 2 doctors. Los Angeles AP, 5 people, including his personal assistant and 2 doctors, have been charged in connection with Matthew Perry's death and what prosecutors call a broad underground criminal network dedicated to getting the Transstar, the powerful surgical anesthetic that killed him. Man, sort of reminds me of, but let's move on. The doctors preyed on Perry's history of addiction in the final months of his life. Last year, to provide him with ketamine in amounts they knew were dangerous. U.S. Attorney Martin Estrada said as he announced the charges Thursday. They knew that what they was doing was wrong, Estrada said. They knew that what they were doing was risking the great danger to Mr. Perry, and they did it anyway. Ah, hold on just a minute. Ah, okay. I'm back. One doctor even wrote in a text message, "I wonder how much this moron will pay." Let's find out. According to the indictment unsealed Thursday. Wow. Perry died in October due to ketamine overdose, and prosecutors said he received several injections on the day he died from his living personal assistant, Kenneth Amasa, who found Perry dead later that day and was the first to talk to investigators. Ketamine has seen a huge surge in use in recent years as a treatment for depression, anxiety, and pain. While the drug isn't approved for those conditions, doctors are free to prescribe drugs for so-called off-label uses. Mm. Perry had been receiving a regular ketamine infusion treatments for depression in amounts not nearly enough to account for his death. For his regular doctors who were not among those charged, authorities said. When those doctors refused to give him more, he went into desperation to others. We are not talking about legitimate ketamine treatment, Estrada said. We're talking about two doctors who abused the trust they had, abused their licenses to put another person's life at risk. DEA Administrator Ann Milligan said in one instance the actor paid $2,000 for a vial of ketamine that cost one of the physicians about $12. Perry paid the doctors about $55,000 in cash and in the 2 months before his death. Whew, Donald said. Two of the people, including one of the doctors charged, were arrested Thursday. Estrada said two of the defendants, including Massa, have pleaded guilty to charges already, and a third person has agreed to plead guilty. On those arrested Thursday are Dr. Salvador Pesanica, who is charged with 7 counts of distribution of ketamine, and also 2 charges related to allegations he falsified records for after Perry's death. But Alicia appeared in court briefly Thursday afternoon and pleaded not guilty. He can be released after posting a $100,000 bond. Alicia attorneys Stefan Sachs asked that his client be allowed to keep seeing patients at his practice when he's released, saying he's already turned over his DEA license to prescribe dangerous drugs. That the Perry case was isolated. Since the U.S. Attorney Ian Yellanello objected, saying Planicio had essentially acted as a street corner drug dealer. Magistrate Judge Alka Sager ruled that Planicio could treat patients only if they signed a document saying that they had been informed of the charges against them. Um, Ultimately, Dr. Benicio was operating with what he thought were the best of medical intentions, and his actions certainly didn't rise to the level of criminal misconduct. Sachs said outside the courthouse, his only concern was that he gives the best medical treatment to do no harm. Sachs said, or to harm was done, but it was after his involvement. Other persons arraigned in the case Thursday was Yasvin Sangha, who prosecutors described as a drug dealer known to customers as Ketamine Queen. A moniker her attorney described as made for media consumption during her court hearing. Ketamine, supplied by Sangha, caused Perry's death. Authorities said Sangha pleaded not guilty and was denied bond. She had first been arrested in the case, charged with possession of ketamine with the intent to distribute and released on bond in March, with authorities keeping Perry's involvement quiet. But a new indictment unsealed Thursday alleged a direct connection with the actor's death. The judge ruled she should remain in custody due to her concern over prosecutors' contentions that she destroyed evidence and has used money for drug sales to fund a lavish lifestyle. Benicio uh, could get up to 120 years in prison if convicted. Prosecutors said the Singer could get life in prison. Records show Benicio's medical license has been in good standing with no records of complaints, though it is set to expire in October. A San Diego physician, Dr. Mark Chavez, has agreed to plead guilty to conspiracy to distribute ketamine. Prosecutors allege Chavez funneled ketamine to Benicio, securing some of the drug from a wholesale distributor through a fraudulent prescription. Prosecutors said the defendants exchanged messages soon after Perry's death, referencing ketamine as the cause of death. Charlotte said they deleted messages and falsified medical records in an attempt to cover up their involvement. Los Angeles police said in May that they were working in the U.S. Drug Enforcement Administration and U.S. Postal Inspection Service with a probe into why the 54-year-old had so much surgical anesthetics in his system. And the WAMS Massa found the actor face down in the hot tub on October 28th. Paramedics who were called immediately declared him dead. Citizens received the ketamine from Eric Fleming, who has pleaded guilty to obtaining the drug from Sangha and delivering them to Owasso. In all, he delivered 50 vials of ketamine for Perry's use, including 25 handed over 4 days before the actor's death. Perry's autopsy revealed in December found that the amount of ketamine in his blood was the range used for general anesthetic during surgery. But it had been 1.5 weeks since his previous legitimate treatment. Medical examiner said that the drug is typically metabolized in a matter of hours. Strada said that Benicio had witnessed Perry freeze up and saw his blood pressure spike after injecting him with the drug, but still left several vials with the Anamura for the actor to inject later. Wow. Multiple requests for comment after the lawyers for Chavez, Amawamsa, and Fleming were not returned Thursday. The medical examiner listed ketamine as the primary cause of death, which was ruled in an accident with no foul play suspected. The report said drowning, other medical issues were contributing factors, and coroner said Perry had years of struggle with addiction, dating back to his time on Friends. He became one of the biggest television stars in his generation as Chandler Bing alongside Jennifer Aniston, Courtney Cox, Lisa Kudrow, and Matt LeBlanc, David Schwimmer for 10 seasons from 94 to 2004 on NBC's mega hit sitcom. Drug-related celebrity deaths have in other cases had led the authorities to prosecute the people who supplied them. After rapper Mac Miller died from an overdose of cocaine, alcohol, and counterfeit oxycodone that contained fentanyl. Two of the men who provided him with the fentanyl were convicted of distributing the drug. One was sentenced to more than 17 years in federal prison. The other was 10. Michael Jackson died in '09 of a lethal dose of propofol, a drug intended for use during only during surgery and other medical procedures. Not for the insomnia, the singer saw it for his doctor, Conrad Murray, who was convicted of involuntary manslaughter in 2011. Murray has maintained his innocence. Writer Michael Basama contributed from New York. Man. So in other words, he was pretty much surrounded by snakes. They took advantage, like they said in the article, they took advantage of his addiction. They weren't going to stop him. They weren't going to say, no, I don't think this is a good idea. They were going to go along with the program and raking the money, which goes to this one point of how much he gave for this to get his fix. Let's find this. What's the name again? Yeah, here's the one at one point. Yeah. DA Administrator Ann Milligan said that on one instance, the actor paid $2,000 for a vial of ketamine. The cost of one of the physicians about $12. Perry paid the doctors about $55,000 in cash in the 2 months before his death. So, like I said, this is a perfect example of taking advantage of somebody's weakness. Surrounded by hustlers. One of them supposed to be his personal assistant, but he turned out to be a drug dealer like everybody else in the line of that supplied them. It looked like they was going to help him. Looked like they was trying to help him. When it's all said and done, they was just enjoying the money they was getting. But he pretty much got done in by drug dealers with the medical coats on. That's why you got to be in your. The most important thing you can have, and the most blessed thing you can have, is being in your right mind. Being in your right mind. Because the dudes are surrounding you, they sure ain't no. It's a perfect example. If I can find that one point of the text messages. Yeah, let's find that one point. Yep. One doctor even wrote in a text message, I wonder how much this moron will pay, and let's find out. In other words, they're spending on seeing how much all about seeing how much money they can get out of you. That's what it's all about. How much money can we get out of them? By talking about them at the same time. That's what it's all about. Especially in this story. They knew they were sitting on the bag. They knew they was doing business with the star, and and it's all about the first time. And they already paid a pretty penny the first time, so they figure if we got this much the first time, let's see how much more we can get. Basically, but bottom line, basically, this story reminds me of Michael Jackson, except I guess you can say uh, he was pretty much voluntarily was doing it, but these guys were doing it for the profit. They was doing it for the profit, like drug dealers and hustlers. But like I said, you got the best thing you can have, the most valuable thing you can have as a star. Not your money, not your houses, but being in your right mind. Being in your right mind. Paid $2,000 for a vial of ketamine. It cost one of the physicians about $12. Man, let me see some. Do a quick little math before I get off this air with this double header. $2,000. Okay. $2,000 minus $12. Paid $1,988. That's a $1,988 difference than uh than what one of the doctors paid. They just took advantage of it. Getting things cheap, but why he paid the most? Paid that's to feed his addiction. He must flip that for profit. Flip that at something that cost only $12 for the man. But when it comes to these heavy stories, I usually leave it up to y'all. Drop a comment if you see this episode, or in the comment section of this episode. Well, what do you think about? What do you think? Yeah, 'cause that's what I usually do when it comes to these type of heavy stories. What do you think? Because commentary can only go so far. But that's gonna do it with this first one. Well, uh, this first doubleheader. This is another episode of the Reporter Vlog for August 16th, 2024 on a Friday. Y'all have a good one. I'm gone.